Good morning, everyone. Our next speaker is going to talk about what happened with him and his daughter. He's a guest speaker. He's drove all the way from Port Charlotte. His name's Tommy Kearns. He was on the news with Kristen Mason and Students for Life, talking about what happened to Clementine. And we're hoping and praying that the Lord is going to be changed and that no one should go through what Clementine went through. So I want to welcome up Tommy Kearns.
Hello everybody, my name is Thomas Kearns. My daughter's name is Clementine. This is Clementine. I am honored to be here the day before my birthday. God is so good. With almost 28 years that I've been alive, I've learned a lot. One of them being the joy of fatherhood. I'm here today not to celebrate my life, but my daughter's. Her name is Clementine. I want to share the love that I have for my Clementine with you and tell you about her beautiful life. She was supposed to be born on July 20th. She was healthy. She was 5-month-along little girl. She was a gift from heaven. She was a surprise and a beautiful blessing. She was conceived from so much love between me and her mother. All of the memories, all of the laughter. I thank God for bringing us together and putting Clementine's love in our lives. We didn't even know she was with us on a road trip from Jersey down to Florida. So many stops and stories along the way, filled with laughter and great food. Clementine survived off of cheeseburgers and coffee like she was a food critic. Her life was only getting started, with so many other adventures to come. From the first day I heard our family had begun, it was now the three of us, mother, father, and Clementine, her own little person, and a new life. Me and her mom were long distance. I was nervous and excited when I first got the phone call, but your mommy was scared. Days following were filled with confusing and sad conversations that you were too small to hear. Sometimes life has bad days, and even on the saddest days, Clementine was alive. Your mom's love for you was so strong, she would overthink. Worried about the future, self-doubt, financial struggles. Rich or poor, on the happiest or saddest days, I knew we would make it through anything as a family. Some days were so sad, but the happiest days were the first time I saw you on the sonogram. A 2D little body with your arms and legs. You were a little over 11 weeks. The nurse asked if we wanted to hear your heart. They asked if I wanted to hold a model of how big you were, and you were so tiny in my hands, but safe in your mom's belly. With even more confusing conversations that you were still too small to hear, things finally settled down. Some of my favorite memories, the three of us cuddled up in bed, imagining our future together, like videos we hadn't recorded yet. Your first steps, movie nights, vacations, studying, picking your first car, walking you down the aisle, but you hadn't even been named yet. It was so much fun, bickering back and forth, laughing, thinking of all the names. We agreed Thomas if you were a boy, after me. And so coming up with a girl name, me and your mom would tease each other, and we finally decided on Clementine. Because of long distance, there were weeks where we were apart, and some memories that I missed, that your mommy and you shared. Like when she told her grandparents that they were great-grandparents, and how their faces lit up. Her mom shopping for onesies, camping and animal themes, making deviled eggs on Thanksgiving, a dinner where you were still a surprise to some, but somehow they felt that you were there after mom gave the news. Christmas, where you met one of your cousins who was also in her mom's belly. Growing larger and larger, feeling mommy's laughter or her cats purring on her lap. It was hard watching from afar, but being patient, we were only apart for 2 weeks at a time. When you and mom would fly to me, she said you'd fly well and be calm. But once you were with your dad, your mom said you'd begin doing loops in her belly. She said it shows how happy you were to hear my voice. When we were all together, we had sunsets. I'd cook up some food for us, just my two ladies. So much love as you grew. You could hear it. Babies can hear sound at 16 weeks along. Going to Disney, where you met your 3-year-old cousin, made me even happier for the future. You had heard the fireworks, but I wish you could see them, my love. Your mommy loves you so much, but even with all of the amazing stories, she was falling into mental health struggles. Self-doubt, no career, financial struggles. She thought that she would be a bad mom, or that our family would struggle. She had no money for the abortion. When she called to see if it was still legal at 5 months in New Jersey, a person, not a counselor or a doctor, informed her that it was not only legal, but it was normal. A phone call that your mom regrets, where a person took advantage of her fear, self-doubt, and instead of offering real support or encouragement, they manipulated her. They fed her premeditative lies, repeatedly asking if she was ready to schedule the appointment. She explained she had no money. They explained again it was normal and plenty of women were in the same position as her, that they had funding. They never said that funding would be taking our daughter's body for fetal research experiments. The first day of the procedure, I could only imagine what Clementine and her mother went through. What Clementine felt and what Clementine heard. They skipped inducing fetal demise. Clementine was born alive. Instead of using the drug called digoxin, which is a chemical that stops the baby's heartbeat, they excessively dilated her cervix, where she screamed in pain. They didn't use a paracervical block or any sort of numbing agent, because as it's listed in the medical documents that we had to fight for, the specimen, that's what Clementine was to these people, these doctors. A specimen, a product of conception. They kept her alive to make sure that her organs and tissue were viable for organ harvesting and transplantation. She was still alive. On the second day, when her mother went to the clinic, the facility, she wanted to trust the healthcare providers, but they didn't care about her. They didn't care about our daughter. They birthed Clementine excessively inducing labor with 6 times the amount of misoprostol and 3 times the amount of Pitocin. Misoprostol is used to induce contractions and Pitocin is used to induce labor. Clementine suffered. When she was birthed, her mother did not know what was happening. At no point did anybody say that funding was going to be taking our daughter's body for fetal research experiments. At no point did anybody tell her, sweetheart, we're going to overly and excessively dilate your cervix and give you an excessive amount of medication to put you into labor. They were monitoring Clementine's mother's contractions. She thought she was dying. She was giving birth. When she reached a level 10 pain, a nurse came to her and wheeled her to the operating room. She was apprehended by another woman that she had never seen before, who had a clipboard and a consent form. None of this was explained to her. Furthermore, during labor, you cannot consent while under mental or physical distress. A procedure cannot be consented to if they already started fetal research protocol. They changed abortion procedure without her knowledge. That is not consent, that is illegal, and that is immoral and wrong. For what they did to the mother of my child, who I am still with, and who I love and who I forgive, is wrong. But what they did to our daughter is so abnormal. There is nothing right about this. What Clementine endured, they dissected her while she was still alive, cutting her open from the top of her chest to the bottom of her stomach. They harvested her organs and sold it to Advanced Bioscience Resources, who then further broke down her body to sell her to research facilities, universities, hospitals, and for-profit companies, not only nationally, but also internationally. This happened 11 months ago. Next month, March 12th and March 13th, will make 1 year that my daughter was killed. And for 11 months now, we have been begging, and we are so close. We need to stop the experiments on our daughter. We have to find her tracking number. We need to have a lawyer. We have all of the evidence to prove all of the laws that were broken, and there's many consent laws were broken, malpractice, medical negligence, and homicide, a murder. People argue that a fetus in the womb can be killed, and everyone here knows that is not true and that is wrong. But there is no argument that any child born alive is an infant. No different than any stage of development, a zygote, a clump of cells, a fetus, an infant, an elderly man, a teenager. These are all just stages of our life. But there is no question that any infant born, no different than the Kermit Gosnell case, who birthed children alive and cut their necks with surgical scissors, that man is still in prison for 3 cases of murder. It will not bring me joy to know that Clementine's murderers are in prison. I would love to hear that Richard LeBeck, Alina Hoover, Linda Tracy, and all of the other people involved repent and never hurt another child. But we need a lawyer in case God does not reach him as quickly as I'd like him to. I wonder how many children were taken since Clementine has been gone. Within the year that Clementine has been gone, how many children were killed? It was a trainee that learned how to perform the abortion. Alina Hoover, a trainee under the guidance of Richard LeBeck. Laws were broken. We need to find her tracking number. We need to have a lawyer prove that the evidence is right, that they committed crimes. We can have a cease and desist. All experiments will stop on Clementine. But as I fell down this rabbit hole, I found so many other children that are still being experimented on. From 1962, starting with the WI-38, HEK-293, late trimester baby girls that are still being used for the manufacturing of vaccines or xenotransplantation, where they can take the organs of babies and transplant them into living animals. These are the experiments that are happening on my daughter and so many other children. If we can find Clementine's body, we can prove the laws that were broken. We can also pass Clementine's law, a law to protect children from conception, to make it so that no child is murdered or exploited for fetal research experiments. Institutions have been profiting and working together in a cycle of greed and power. But to see so many faces of men and women and even some children, I am so grateful for the future I am so hopeful for the future. I thank God for allowing me to be here today and for allowing me to know my daughter's love. I am honored to share with you all of the memories, short but many memories that I have with my daughter. I hope that you all can remember Clementine, speak about Clementine, pray for Clementine, and love Clementine. I love my family. Her mother regrets the abortion. The pain of abortion is real. Any woman and any family that is considering this lie of a choice to kill your family member, please remember that God is so good and Jesus Christ is with you always. Have hope, have faith, and stay strong. Your child needs you. Thank you all for being here. Thank you all for fighting for the children. We need to stop fetal research experiments. Please remember Clementine. God bless you all.